My friends, I can't even say it just keeps happening this time, because what happened is beyond anything we've ever seen before. The back and forth, the rivalries, the barrier shattered. It's just too much to handle. But let's try, my friends. Let's try as we've witnessed something of a Christmas miracle, with 5 seconds being cut from the train stage. And who did it? Well, that's what we'll find out today. Let's get into it, baby. Train 50.
Here we go.
So, to start this story, let's put ourselves in the shoes of iconic GoldenEye speedrunner Calli W. Calli is among the best GoldenEye speedrunners from the modern era, so someone who started speedrunning GoldenEye after, say, the popularization of Twitch live streams and YouTube content through the 2010s. And Calli's set numerous remarkable world records, like being the first to tie Carl's Dam 52 before a strategy made it easy, like getting Dam's Secret Agent 115, an untied that still stands today using a strategy that few have dared to attempt, and Surface 1 Secret Agent 146, one of the game's longest standing untied world records of all time, currently only to be outdone by Ace, perhaps a bit of foreshadowing there. So, Calli wanted to play Train Agent, getting in on the gold rush with a new strategy where you can simply, and I say that a bit sarcastically, but simply R-lean out of the train, skipping the locks sequence. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I go into more depth in my previous video, but it was discovered that there's a crack about 1/110,000th the size of Bond at a 45-degree angle at the train locks, where you can do an R-lean, which is holding R and then using the C buttons to quickly move in one direction. And if you find the right spot, you can just warp out of the train, saving time on Agent, skipping lasering off the locks. It doesn't inherently save time on Secret and 00 Agent, by the way, because on those difficulties, you still need to wait for Natalia to complete her hacking objectives. It could be useful, and that's something we'll get into more depth later, but it won't inherently save time there. So, Calli believed that he could break the world record of 55 seconds, a record held by Henrik Weister Nordgren and Perfect Ace. And Calli wanted to set a new untied world record and claim the significant monetary bounty for cutting a second off the game's total time as we approached breaking the 1 hour 10-minute barrier. A truly remarkable and significant moment in the game's history. So Calli was playing and playing. It had been about 2 days since the strategy was revealed, and he finally clutched a run. A very well played train run, where he got the clip out of the train, strafed towards the ending, excitedly pressed A to reveal his total time, and saw this. Train Agent 54 seconds. A new untied world record. Flashes of his heroics and collecting an $850 bounty, the amount offered per second cut from the game, probably were rushing through his head as he clicked end recording and went to double check that the recording and video were good. Literally 2 minutes later, as Calli is rendering the video and getting ready to post, he sees this pop up on the automated ranking system. Henrik Weister Nordgren, Train Agent 53. Uploaded, posted, rendered, and finalized, leaving no doubt that Weister's Train 53, cutting 2 seconds off the record of 55, was definitively achieved at least a few minutes before Calli's 54. Calli may have thought he had set a new untied world record for a moment or two, 2 minutes literally, but he didn't. Weister had beat him to the punch with a faster time, collecting not just $850 worth of bounties for 1 second cut, but $1,700 for a 2 second cut. Now, I hope that's one heck of a lead for this story and where we're going, and welcome back, of course, to the fireside as our lovely dog here twists and turns through the night, sleeping cozily, and you better get cozy as well, because what happens next is even more remarkable. And hopefully I've been showing a comparison run between Calli and Henrik's records on the side of the screen here, and we can see that really they are similarly paced runs, maybe Henrik a little bit out front first, and they get warps, similarly timed warps, taking a few seconds to settle in there and nail it and get out of the train. And this is still something we're working on. Warping through some doors in GoldenEye, like ones on Silo or maybe the Frigate pipe warp, we're so good at now. We can just get right in there, right exactly, we know where we're going, swap buttons and get through. And even the same with the Bunker 2 jail cell Arlene warp, which is a similar mechanic to the train warp. We know exactly how to settle in and make the warp happen. But on train, it's taking us a few moments to really learn how to do it, kind of get in that spot and get through that 1/10,000th size pixel crack to get out of the train. But of course, many, many other players were attempting this over this time as well. And one was Perfect Ace. And, of course, Calli actually, it's kind of surprising, even though he almost got that untied world record and he's a great player, he's never been one of the top train players. That's always been Ace, Weister, and Mark Rutsu, at least over the past decade plus 15 years. I'm pretty sure no one else has had a record on Train Agent since like 2010 or something insane, maybe 2015. It's really unbelievable, though. Those three, Ace, Mark, and Weister. And so, Calli did great getting on 54, even though he was beaten to the punch. And Ace is playing and playing and playing. And Ace, obviously, he got the last two untied records. He's trying to get a piece of that bounty himself and really learning how to warp out of the train, because that's the main thing that you need to do. And I'll tell you, from my exact perspective, I certainly woke up on the morning of the 13th and I noticed that Henrik had indeed gotten that remarkable Train 53. It was about a day or two after I posted my first video on the topic. Amazing stuff. And I had to go about my day and go on a bit of a drive the next couple days. And so I'll put in video footage of my actual drive, getting home on the night of December 14th through a unbelievable snow squall storm coming off the Great Lakes, as they do. Any Great Laker will know this. And I don't recommend being out there in the snow. This is not something to do, but I had to do it for one reason or another. And so I was pretty tired when I got back home, and I took a nap. I took a nap for a couple hours. And when I woke up at about 10:30 p.m., I woke up to a bunch of texts and messages from viewers, from speedrunners, from gamers, alerting me of what had just unfolded. And it reminded me a lot of actually the last time a very similar story was when Carl got Dam 52, back in 2017, about this time of year as well. And I was asleep and I woke up to it. And I said in that video, wake up and smell the Dam 52. And this time around, it was not, it was beyond what we expected. Ace had not just tied Train 53 or even made a 1-second cut, but Ace made a 3-second cut. Train 50. 3-second untied world record. Just a perfectly played run, more or less. If I put a side-by-side comparison of his 50 and a 55, we'll see that, he's actually, the 50 is actually a little bit slower paced towards the very end of the train, but because he gets like a first try warp out the crack, he's able to save that much time. It is believed that, of course, if you were to get a run of the pace of these old 55s, those 55s were the culmination of 25, 30 years of gameplay and mastery on Train Agent. So to get a run of that quality, plus a first try crack warp, you might be looking at a 48-second record on Train, which is like beyond anyone's wildest dreams, but 50 already is. And so not only did Ace get Train 50, which is already insane, but he obliterated the 1 hour, 10-minute total time barrier, which has been this sort of ultimate quest in the game for years and years and years. And I really cannot put into words just how remarkable this is. after Henrik gets his mega bounty claim, Ace is going to get his mega bounty claim of about $1,700 as well for cutting the 2 seconds to break the barrier. And then he just cut 1 extra second just for good measure to get down to train 50. And by goodness gracious, that's just truly, truly remarkable. You know, I told Ace if we meet up around New Year's this year, I'm taking him either Swiss Chalet or Chuck's Roadhouse. So if you're a Canadian and you know these places, let me know in the comments where we should go, Chuck's or Swiss Chalet. And I look forward to that. We're gonna have a good time and a nice meal to celebrate this remarkable achievement. And I kind of sit here by this fireplace, by the Christmas tree, truly just pondering about how far we've come. You know, I remember vividly seeing Ace join the community when he was 11 in 2005. And by goodness, I was only 16 years old myself. I was still, you know, a young man, a boy, dare I say. And the total time then, I don't even know what it was. I guess Motor had just broken it to 1:15:59. So we've now cut 6 minutes off the total time of the game. That's an average of 6 seconds per stage. You know, some levels only 1 second, but an average of 6 per stage. And obviously Ace was the main driver behind it all, you know, the greatest player of the last 20 years. And there have been many, many others who have contributed, but I can't help but sit here. You know, there's been this meme lately of guys looking at their Christmas tree at 3 a.m. And that's exactly how I feel right now, just brooding and pondering how far we've come in this remarkable journey that has been GoldenEye speedrunning. 2 more interesting runs that I want to mention is certainly on the same day Ace gets Train 50, which is unbelievable to say. Ilu, you know, legendary gamer in his own right, got Caverns 1 minute early this year. Unbelievable stuff. He almost got an untied. He tied Surface 2 Double Agent 118, which is a really good world record. And he's using a new strategy, or, you know, maybe not new, but he's the first to pull it off, where instead of shooting at the first camera like everyone's done since, you know, time immemorial, he gets a grenade and saves the first camera for last. We could call it the first camera last strategy or something, out of order cameras, who knows. And it's a very insane strategy. It was such a well-played run. He hits the camera shot so well, just maybe got a little bit too hung up at the satellite camera, but clutched everything else, clutched the grenade throw for the, you know, first camera last, clutched the mine throw. He even says himself, I think it's not quite it. I think it's a tied world record, and it was, which that's a great eye for a run. You know, I would have loved to see Ilu get a 1 or 2 second untied there and you know, trickle the timer down just a little bit more. That would have been so thrilling, and he's such a deserving guy of that as well. A long-time GoldenEye speedrunner that's you know, contributed so many amazing things to the game. Another run that I love from this recent onslaught, having to stem from Onslaught's train discovery, is just any personal record of Big Boss Man. You know, another legendary champion of the game's history. And, you know, look, Boss, I'm sure he would agree with me, him and I. He's a bit older than me, but we're both getting older, you know, and that's, as time passes, that's the way it goes. But even he popped out of the train and got a new personal record. He pumped his 102 on Train Agent down to 57 seconds. And you could hear the excitement and joy in his voice when he pops through the crack. And it just takes you back to being a kid, just like a good Christmas time.
Oh my God, this is it!
And I'm very happy that Boss was able to play and stream and get some new personal records as well. And so have many, many players. And it's truly been a wonderful time in the GoldenEye speedrunning world, in the realm. Simply a wonderful Christmas time, as many have said. And it's just kind of funny how it works, you know, perhaps, you know, look, I know I delve into the nostalgic worlds on this channel and discussing speedrunning, and it's similar to how Christmas time is, but, you know, really, really drives it home when you see all of this stuff happening, just like I opened this video, beyond remarkable, beyond what anyone would have expected. Really just a Christmas miracle, I would say, that Onslaught discovered this thing, and then a bunch of people all raced to their consoles and got these amazing world records using this new knowledge. I think one more thing to discuss in this video is, you know, now that we're at 109.58, and there has already been mention on this, you know, in the community, is another minute cut from the game possible? And that's always going to be something people wonder all throughout time, no matter what. Can we get to 108.59 now? Was 110 actually the final barrier? Could we break 109 as well? And, it might not be as symbolic to cut this whole extra digit off of the game, going from the 110s to the 100s. But I think it is fair to ponder 108. And, because just look at what's happened in the last month is when people really put their means, put the pedal to the metal. We've seen so much time get cut. 2 years ago, or was it 1 year ago? I was, mourning the death of GoldenEye speedrunning because there had only been 2 untied world records set that year, back in 2024. And I did it a bit tongue-in-cheek, hopefully inspiring people to amp it up. And I'm obviously not taking credit for what's happened, but that has happened. People have amped it up. People have played and set new untied world records. And, will it maintain this pace, as we keep going on? Almost certainly not. Maybe it'll be 20, 30, or 40 years to cut the next 60 seconds from the game, if ever. But, it may end up happening. And I think that's just some great thought to ponder as we all drift off here towards our winter slumbers. So that's going to be that, my friends. That's the story of 2 insane things at once. Train 50 and the 110 barrier being shattered. I hope I warmed you up and you were cozy sitting by the fire listening to this story. A huge thanks to the Patreon supporters and channel members for all of your support of my work this year and all throughout the years. Hopefully I'll have a few more videos before the year end, but if I don't, Merry Christmas to you all. Stay true, my friends, and I will see you in the next stream, video, or fireside.